They forgot to invite me to Christmas again, so I bought myself a beach house. When my parents showed up with movers for my sister, they thought I'd fold. They didn't know I'd already changed the locks and the paperwork. The moving truck reversed into my driveway at 8:14 on a Wednesday morning, and my father was already holding a clipboard. Not luggage, not a casserole dish, not even a wrapped Christmas present. A clipboard with what looked like a floor plan sketched on it in blue pen. I was standing on my own porch with a cup of coffee when the ramp clanged down onto my driveway like something declaring war. Two men in matching gray shirts climbed out of the cab and started pulling boxes before they'd even introduced themselves. My mother stepped out of the black Escalade parked behind the truck, dressed in cream linen at 8 in the morning, her perfume already winning the argument against the salt air. My sister Brianna came next, filming herself stepping out of the vehicle with the practiced ease of someone who had rehearsed the shot twice before doing it for real. The first box came off the ramp, black marker, block letters, Brianna's room. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I looked at my dad, who was studying his clipboard like a man with a plan. I sipped my coffee. Morning, I said. Nobody looked up. That was fine. I had been invisible to this family for 15 years. I was used to it. What they weren't used to was what I'd built while they weren't watching. My name is Nathan Cole. I'm 38 years old, and I sell real estate along the Georgia coast, well enough that people in 3 counties know my name without me having to say it twice. I drive a 2021 Tacoma with 60,000 miles on it and a dent in the rear bumper from a parking lot in Savannah I'd rather forget. I own a 2-story beach house on a quiet stretch of coast near Brunswick that I bought 4 years ago under my LLC Title Line Properties after a particularly strong quarter and a particularly lonely December. I am not dramatic. I don't post things online. I don't make scenes, but I do keep records. I learned that from watching real estate deals fall apart. The ones that go sideways are always the ones where nobody wrote anything down. I applied the same logic to my family. For years, I kept a folder. Screenshots, dates, post captions, a growing archive of small erasures. That folder would matter later. My parents, Robert and Diane Cole, built a comfortable life in Alpharetta. Dad ran a mid-sized property management firm. Mom kept the house and kept the image. The image was important. They were the kind of people who sent Christmas cards with a professional photo every year, the kind where everybody's wearing the same color. I was never in the photo. That's not a metaphor. I mean literally, physically, not in the picture. My sister Brianna was 5 years younger than me and had grown up to become a lifestyle influencer with 340,000 followers, a ring light collection that could illuminate a stadium, and a personal brand built around the phrase family first. My parents treated her career the way other parents treat a medical degree, with reverence, with resources, with the unspoken understanding that everything in the family existed to support it. I was the older one, the quiet one, the one who left for college at 18 and didn't need much, which my parents translated as didn't need anything, which eventually became wasn't really part of the plan. The first Christmas it happened, I was 23. I drove 2 hours home without calling ahead because I assumed home was still home. The driveway was full. The tree was lit. I could hear Brianna's laugh through the front door. When my mother opened it, her face cycled through 3 expressions in under a second. Surprise, calculation, recovery. "Oh, honey, we thought you were doing something with friends this year." She took the pie I'd brought and said they were just about to open gifts. I drove home with the radio off. I told myself it was a miscommunication, a scheduling mistake. I told myself that for about 4 years, through variations of the same story, until I ran out of ways to believe it. By 27, I'd stopped going home for the holidays entirely. By 30, I'd stopped expecting calls. By 34, I'd bought the beach house. And for the first time in my adult life, December felt like something other than a wound I kept reopening to check if it had healed. It hadn't, but the house helped. The call from my mother came 2 weeks before Christmas, on a Tuesday evening while I was reviewing a contract at my kitchen island with a glass of bourbon and the ocean making its usual argument outside my windows. Her number lit up my phone, and I stared at it for 3 rings. I answered. Old instinct. Nathan, sweetheart. Her voice had that particular brightness, the one she used for realtor small talk and charity galas and asking for things she'd already decided she was getting. "We've been talking, and we thought it would be so special to spend Christmas together this year, at your beach house. The photos online, it's just gorgeous, honey. It looks like something out of a magazine." I noticed she didn't ask if it was available. She said at your beach house like it was already decided. "Brianna's been so overwhelmed," she continued. "The content schedule, the brand partnerships, she just needs some coastal air. And you know how good that house would look on camera." There it was. Not the subtext, the text. I should have said no. I knew it the way you know a storm is coming when the birds go quiet. Not from a single sign, but from everything at once going still. I said yes anyway. I think I needed to see it happen in my own house before I could finally be finished with it. "Sounds fine, Mom." After I hung up, I sat with the bourbon and the ocean for a while. Then I opened my laptop and sent 2 emails. One to my attorney, Marcus Webb of Webb & Associates in Savannah, who had handled the Title Line Properties Incorporation and knew every document connected to the house. 22 years in real estate law, the kind of man who wore the same navy blazer every day because he didn't waste energy energy on variables that didn't matter. The other to my college roommate, Derek Okafor, who now worked as a licensed property consultant and had once helped me navigate a tenant dispute so complicated it almost went federal. I told him the situation in plain language. Derek wrote back in 11 minutes, "Say less. I'll be on call." Marcus responded the next morning with 4 words, "Don't let them in." I didn't listen to him completely, but I listened enough. They arrived the Saturday before Christmas. I was already awake, already on the porch, already watching the driveway the way you watch weather. My mother came first. Cream linen, perfume over salt air. My father behind her, clipboard materializing from somewhere. Brianna last, phone raised, filming her own arrival with the narration she'd probably scripted in the car. Something about healing and family and the restorative power of the sea. The boxes came off the ramp. Brianna's room, vanity, wardrobe, ring lights. I counted 7 boxes before I stopped counting. My father walked up the porch steps with the clipboard like a man arriving at a job site. Nate. He clapped my shoulder the way men do when they want to establish authority through physical contact. "Great setup you've got here. The light is perfect for Brianna's schedule. We're thinking the living room faces east, so morning shoots are—" "She doesn't have a schedule here," I said. He smiled. "We'll talk inside." My mother was already through the front door, touching things, rearranging a vase on the entry table, assessing the sight lines. She moved through my house the way buyers move through open listings, cataloging, calculating, deciding what they'd change. "Nathan, the natural light is incredible. Your sister needs stability right now. A few months by the water, consistent content, the ocean in the background. This could be the reset she needs. A few months, not a visit, not Christmas. Months." I set my coffee mug on the counter. "Mom, she doesn't live here." She smiled with the patience of someone managing a misunderstanding. "Family doesn't need permission, honey." I let that sit in the air. Didn't argue it, didn't explain it. I went to the garage and I started making calls. Marcus Webb answered on the second ring. I told him what I was looking at. The boxes, the floor plan on the clipboard, the language about months. He was quiet for exactly 4 seconds, which for Marcus meant he was already 3 steps ahead. "The property is titled under Title Line Properties LLC, correct?" "Correct." "Then this is simple. They are guests, not residents. No written invitation means no standing to occupy. I'm drafting a guest policy letter right now. LLC letterhead. No occupancy without prior written authorization. Print it and post it inside the entry closet. If they push, call me before you say another word." Then I called Derek. Derek Okafor didn't do anything slowly. He spoke in short, tactical bursts, the way people do when they've solved problems like yours before and are mildly bored by the urgency. "Locks first," he said. "You still have the original hardware?" "Yes." "Call a locksmith today. Every exterior door, the side gate, new keypad. Do not share the combination with anyone in that house. Second, internet infrastructure. If your dad touches the router, gets his name on a service contract, runs a single cable, you'll spend 6 months untangling it. Password everything. Change the ISP account PIN today. Third, document everything that comes off that truck. Date, time, description. If it's in your house, it's your record." He paused. "One more thing. Search Brianna's social right now. If she's already told 300,000 people she's moving into a beach house, this isn't impulsive. This was planned." I pulled up her profile while he was still talking. The most recent post was from 4 days ago. A mood board, soft blue tones, sea glass, white wicker furniture I didn't own. The caption read, "New chapter, new view, more soon." The comments were full of heart emojis and people asking for the location. My stomach dropped, then steadied, because I recognized the feeling, not panic, but the specific clarity that comes when you stop hoping things aren't as bad as they look. They were exactly as bad as they looked. I just needed the proof. By noon, the living room had been rearranged. Tripods in the corners, a ring light set up near the window, boxes stacked in the hallway with labels I kept reading like evidence because that's what they were. My father found me in the kitchen and set a piece of paper on the island. It was a content calendar, weekly shoots, Monday through Friday, brand integrations on Thursdays. A recurring segment titled Meet the Coles Family Edition. He tapped it with one finger. "Fiber internet appointment is Tuesday. I told them to run the new line to the guest suite and the main living area. We'll need upload speeds of at least—" "You called my internet provider. It's a simple upgrade." "Under whose name?" He blinked. "What?" "The account. Is it being transferred to your name?" He picked up his phone instead of answering, which was its own answer. I walked to the kitchen drawer, pulled out the Title Line Properties account documentation, and set it on the counter between us. "The internet account is under this LLC. You don't have authorization to make changes to it. Neither does anyone else in this house." He looked at the paper the way people look at things they were hoping weren't real. "Nathan." His voice dropped into the register he used when he wanted to sound like he was being patient with someone unreasonable. "You're turning something simple into a conflict. You're moving my sister into my house," I said. "I'm just using accurate language." He turned and walked to the deck, phone already at his ear. I went back to the garage and photographed every box. That night, after dinner, which Brianna filmed, which I ate in approximately 9 minutes and then excused myself from, I found the folder. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, half tucked under the fruit bowl like someone had tried to be casual about it. Manila folder, black label, title, Cole Family Coastal Expansion. Inside, printed renderings. My porch, my railing, my view of the ocean, laid out in a branded template with the header Cole Living, Coastal Edition. Product shots, sponsorship decks. A banner that read, in clean sans serif font, the Cole Family Beach Estate. My name was nowhere on it. I photographed every page and texted them to Marcus with one line. Is this what I think it is? He called me back in 4 minutes. This is a brand proposal built around a property they don't own, using an address they don't have rights to. If they pitch this to sponsors, distribute it, or use your property in filming without written consent, we're looking at unauthorized commercial use of private property. That's not a gray area. What do I do? First thing tomorrow, I'm sending cease and desist letters to your parents and to Brianna's management company. Second, is there a notary anywhere in this picture yet? Not yet. There will be, he said, with the flat certainty of a man who had seen this movie before. Call me the moment a document appears. I put the folder back where I found it. Dennis Carver arrived at 7:50 the next morning. He was 61, sunburned, with a keychain that held more tools than most men's entire workshops. He ran Seabrook Hardware and Locksmith out of a white van that had been repainted once and needed it again. He worked clean and quiet, starting at the front door and moving clockwise through the house. Each click of a removed lock felt like a sentence ending. Each new strike plate going in felt like one beginning. My mother appeared at the foot of the stairs at 8:15, hair perfect, robe cinched. What is this? Maintenance, I said. It's Christmas week, Nathan. Good timing. My father came in from the deck with his phone lowered. He looked at Dennis, then at me. This is completely unnecessary. We're not strangers. Dennis didn't look up. He was fitting a new deadbolt into the back door with the focused calm of someone who had heard every version of this conversation. Actually, I said, I just like things secure. When Dennis finished, he pressed 4 keys into my hand, one for each exterior entrance, and met my eyes for half a second with the specific expression of a man who understood exactly what kind of morning this had been. You want me to post the keypad code somewhere visible? He asked. No, I said, just me. My mother's jaw tightened. Brianna, appearing at the top of the stairs with her camera, turned it on instinctively. My father reached for the closest key and I pulled my hand back. Those are mine, I said. The room went quiet enough that the ocean outside was suddenly very loud. My father tried the voice he used in boardrooms. Nathan, I built the foundation you're standing on. I owe the bank 12 more years of mortgage payments, I said. That's the only debt on this property. Brianna lowered her camera. First time all week. I walked to the entry closet, opened the door, and taped Marcus's guest policy letter to the inside panel, facing out. Title Line Properties, LLC. No occupancy without written authorization. Guests permitted by invitation only. Filming requires separate written consent. My mother read it and laughed. The short, social laugh she used when something threatened her, and she wanted it to seem small. You and your paperwork. I closed the closet door gently. Read it before you unpack another box. They didn't unpack another box. Instead, they regrouped. I knew this because at 11:47 that night, the driveway camera on my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I watched my father's silhouette walk to the mailbox at the end of the drive and force a thick white envelope through the slot. He pressed it in until the paper bent, smoothed the metal flap with his palm, and walked back to the Escalade without looking at the house. I watched the video twice, saved it to a folder I labeled Evidence, December. Then I went to bed and waited for morning. The envelope was jammed deep in the slot, my name written across the front in his deliberate handwriting. Inside was a document titled Family Occupancy Understanding, 2 pages, dense with language about shared family assets and communal property rights and temporary indefinite residency. At the bottom, my signature, except it wasn't. The middle initial was wrong. The curve at the end of the last letter was a flourish I'd never used in my life. The notary stamp in the corner was applied at a crooked angle, bleeding slightly at the edge. I stood in the driveway in the cold morning air, holding the document, and felt something very specific move through me. Not anger, recognition. This was the moment Marcus had predicted. The moment they decided that if they couldn't walk through the door, they'd build a paper trail around it. I photographed every centimeter of the document, envelope included, and sent the images to Marcus with a 3-word message. It happened. Call me. He called in 8 minutes. The notary stamp, I said. It doesn't look right. I'll verify the commission. These stamps have license numbers. They're on a public registry. If that commission is expired or the number is fabricated, we're not talking about a civil dispute anymore. He paused. Nathan, this is mail fraud. I want you to call the postal inspector's office and report this morning. Don't confront your father. Don't post anything. Do exactly what I tell you and let the institutions do what they're designed to do. I put the document in a plastic sleeve, sealed it, and set it on the kitchen counter beside my coffee cup. Then I drove to the Brunswick post office. The postal inspector who came to the house that afternoon was named Agent Carla Simmons. She was 47, federal badge, gray blazer, and the measured efficiency of someone who had processed enough fraud to stop being impressed by it. She bagged the envelope, photographed the document, and asked me clean, precise questions that I answered with the same energy. When she was done, she handed me a card. The notary's commission expired 14 months ago, she said. This stamp was reported stolen from a Savannah firm last spring. spring. This document is not a gray area. If your father placed this in your mailbox with intent to establish a false legal claim, we're looking at a federal mail fraud charge. She paused. Keep your cameras. Keep your records. Forward everything to me. She left and I stood in my kitchen for a long moment, staring at her card. Then I called Marcus. It's in motion, I told him. I know, he said. I filed the cease and desist 20 minutes ago. I also sent a fraud alert to the county clerk and a formal complaint to the Georgia Notary Division. The sheriff already has your no trespass letter on file. I want you to do one thing tonight. What? Post the deed. I paused. Just the deed, he said. Clean scan. Title line properties front and center. No caption. No comment. Let people look at it and draw their own conclusions. I uploaded it that night to an account with maybe 200 followers. My professional real estate profile, the one I barely used. A clean scan of the recorded deed with the LLC name in black ink at the top. I went to sleep before I saw what happened to it. By 9 DAO the next morning, my phone had 63 notifications. The deed had been shared. Screenshots were circulating under Brianna's videos. Questions were piling up under her posts like sediment. Is this your sister's house or yours? Did she consent to the filming? Why does the deed say LLC? Her sponsors moved fast. By noon, 2 partnership posts had been quietly deleted from her feed. By 2 o'clock, her management company had issued a statement about pausing the Coastal content series pending verification of logistics. By 4, Brianna's page had gone quiet, then the local paper ran it. Influencer family faces, legal dispute over Brunswick Beach property. I read the article at my kitchen island and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not triumph. Something quieter, like standing in a room where the air finally means what it says. The courthouse in Brunswick was low brick and sea air, the kind of building that takes itself seriously without trying. I sat in the back of the hearing room with Marcus beside me, his storm gray folder open on his knee. Agent Simmons was seated 2 rows up. Deputy Ronald Hicks, 12 years with the Glynn County Sheriff's Office, was standing near the door with the still patience of a man who didn't need to perform authority to have it. Marcus introduced title line properties, the parcel number, the sequence of events, the exhibits, in the measured cadence of a man who had done this 100 times and respected it every single one. He handed up the deed, the no trespass letter, the guest policy, the forged document with the wrong initial and the expired stamp, and the time-stamped camera footage of my father at the mailbox at 11:47 p.m. My family entered late. My father in a blazer, jaw set to reasonable. My mother in soft gray, eyes already calculating who was watching. Brianna without her phone, which made her look younger and somehow smaller. They sat with a man I recognized from my father's golf circle, not a lawyer, a consultant, with a thin folder and the confidence of someone who'd never actually been in a courtroom before. The judge asked if they had counsel. My father said representation was on the way. The judge said we'd proceed with what was present. What was present was enough. She asked my father 3 questions. Did he have a signed lease? No. Did he have written consent from title line properties for any occupant? No. Did he authorize the creation of the document titled Family Occupancy Understanding? He said he didn't recall. She looked at the wrong middle initial. She looked at him. She signed the protective order. 100 yards. No contact with the property. All communications through counsel. 30 days with the strong implication of extension. She signed 3 copies and passed them to the clerk with the quiet finality of someone ending a sentence. Outside on the courthouse steps, Marcus gave a 2-sentence statement to the small cluster of journalists who'd followed the story online. He said Title Line Properties was grateful for the court's clarity. He said the facts spoke for themselves. Then we walked to the parking lot and he shook my hand. You did the right things in the right order, he said. That matters. I drove home along the coast road with the windows down. The air smelled like salt and pine and the particular relief of something finally being over. The movers came 2 days later, ones I hired, prepaid, scheduled under the LLC, and cleared every one of Brianna's boxes from my garage. The men were efficient and quiet. When the last box went up the ramp and the truck rolled out of my driveway, I stood on the porch and listened to the sound of the engine fade until all that was left was the ocean. My mother came one final time, alone. No Escalade in the driveway, no camera, no cream linen. Just her, in a wool coat, standing at the gate with her hands in her pockets. I opened the door but didn't step off the porch. We got the order, she said. We'll comply. She looked past me at the house for a moment, then back at me. I wanted to see you, to know you were okay. I'm okay, I said. She nodded. You built something real here, Nathan. I know. She opened her mouth, then closed it. There were 15 years of things she could have said, and she seemed to understand that none of them would fit through the space she'd left for them. Finally, she said, I'm sorry it took so long. I stood there and let the words land without flinching. I know you are, I said. She turned and walked back down the drive. At the gate, she raised one hand without turning around. I watched until she reached the street and disappeared. Then I went inside and locked the door with Dennis Carver's key. The sound it made was small, clean, final. 3 months later. It's March now, and the mornings here are something else. Mist off the water, the light coming sideways through the palms, the whole coast still half asleep. I drink my coffee on the porch most days and watch the pelicans work the shoreline. My father is facing a federal mail fraud inquiry. His attorney has confirmed it's active. I don't check for updates more than once a week. It's not not my case to manage. Brianna's page went dark for 6 weeks. She's back now. Different tone, smaller scale, no Cole family beach estate, no matching aesthetics, just her, talking to a camera in what looks like an apartment. The comments are kinder than I expected. I haven't spoken to my parents since the courthouse. My mother sends texts occasionally, short, careful ones, the kind you send when you're testing whether a door is still there. I read them. I don't always respond. I'm still working out the geography of that. What I know is this: I spent 15 years being the one who was forgotten, who was invisible, who sat in an empty apartment on Christmas morning pretending the quiet didn't have a shape. I spent those same 15 years building something, client by client, commission by commission, property by property, that nobody could take credit for. They showed up with a clipboard and a truck and the unshakable confidence of people who had never once been told no by the person they kept erasing. They met the locks. They met the paperwork. They met the version of me that had stopped waiting for an invitation and started building a life that didn't need one. There's a note I wrote on an index card the morning after the protective order was signed. I tucked it under a piece of sea glass on the kitchen windowsill, right where the morning light hits it. You are not invisible. You were just surrounded by people who needed you to be. It's still there. The ocean comes in, the ocean goes out. I'm not waiting for anyone.